All right, this one is Lorenz Larkin actually officially went to Bellator. He had this like thing on Bellator's Twitter too, where he's fighting in their shirt, turns around, he goes, this is my new home.
That's cool, man.
It's really cool. And he says one of the biggest reasons why he signed with them is because he felt like the UFC. He tried to work with the UFC to make him a bigger star and even to keep him, everything else. But they were just kind of like, well, here's your price, you take it or leave it. And then he was just like, I don't want to deal with that. Scott Coker was amazing to him. Yep. Gave him a great deal. So he was like, these people actually care about me as a fighter. Whereas the UFC didn't.
We've talked about Lorenz Larkin. Even Rogan and I were talking. When he signed, I text Rogan and I went, hey, Larkin's with the Bellator. And Rogan just goes, fuck. Because it's a big loss, man. Larkin is a super talented guy, and he's fun to watch, and he's beat some of the best. Masvidal, who's hot right now, yeah. Larkin did work on that dude. Like it was a good fight, but Larkin's a beast, man. He's really, really good. He's a young dude. He's exciting to watch. And, we've talked about on the show before, the UFC is this giant Titanic, and there's these cracks in the boat, man. There's cracks in the boat, and eventually it sinks that bitch. It's stuff like this where a guy goes, they just didn't care. Like, they didn't give a fuck. And he mentions how long it took to even get a response. And then, 2 weeks before, here you go, we'll do this. Dude, you're talking about a guy, a super talented guy he's ranked in the top 10, correct?
Last time I checked, he was. Even
was he top? Let's say top 15, top 10. You treat him like that, this is going to catch up with you, man. You just can't pay attention to the George St. Pierre's and the Conor McGregor's of the world because, granted, they give you a lot of your pay-per-view rankings, but the majority of the guys are like Lorenz Larkins, man. And when you start fucking guys over like that, it goes down. Shit rolls downhill, man. They probably already took him off the rankings. Already. He was top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
It's just not a good sign to me. It shows that the UFC's not they're not being detailed oriented. Does that make sense? Like they're not. They're so focused on this and making sure that they get this nut covered, this big debt that they have, and they're forgetting what got them to the dance, man.
He's the one that ended Neil Magny's reign too, and that one crazy streak he was on.
Yeah, Neil Magny's a tough customer. It just this stuff starts to add up, man, and you see Bellator just taking advantage, and for a mixed martial artist, remember, it's martial arts. Respect is everything. So when you feel like this organization that you fight for, that you live for, doesn't give a fuck, the guys, they have other options now. Bellator's doing a pay-per-view in Madison Square Garden. That's pretty good negotiating power. And Lorenz Larkin's only 30?
30, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's trouble. I'm telling you, it's trouble, man. They're not paying attention. You can also see by their social media. I snapshot, and I won't say who I sent to. I snapshot one of their posts when the UFC London card was happening, and it was so lame. It was so lame, and just I don't know who's dealing with it. Not someone familiar with the UFC, not someone that knows the sport, not someone who started in this game. Some of the posts, I'm like, oh my god, man! It's like someone went from doing promotional for Fast and Furious 8, and now they're doing promotion for the UFC. These tweets are so amateur hour. It's so JV. And that's their thing. The UFC has always been a beast at social media. Shonda, who they let go, that was her thing, man. She grew that company. Look at the stats. And when she wasn't there, when she was there, and as she took over, they're insane, man. They're like, oh, we're good. We don't need that. No. Cut everything you want to cut. Don't cut out on that, man. On social media, that's what made you guys the UFC. The interaction, the direct interaction with the fans is everything. You see some of these posts, man, I hate to see that stuff.
I wonder what happened to Shonda then. If she went into like something outside of fighting or something for social media.
She's starting her own business.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Starting her own business. Smart gal.